Before we let them take down their first 400 acres, we made them prove up that they had a funding commitment to the tune of $1.8 billion that the mayor and I both verified. And there's more money coming beyond that, but that was enough to take down the first 400 acres. So, and we learned, we've learned from bad experiences before that you got to make them prove up the money. And a good example of that is Ashoka Steel. We did make them prove up the money before they took down we have an agreement with them to build a rewire plant, but they haven't done it yet, and they haven't given us proof of funding to our satisfaction, which was the clause. And so they haven't been able to acquire the property yet, and their contract expires at the end of this year.
Let's talk about project scale and feasibility.
Okay.
From a realistic scope, the plan calls for a 3 gigawatt hyperscale facility. That's huge. One of the largest in the world.
Yeah.
How realistic is this scale in Sulphur Springs, and what assurance exists that the project will reach completion?
It's very aggressive right up front. And it may not reach 3 gigawatts. But if they reach even the first phase of 800 megawatts, that's still super massive, right? So it's still a home run. And we'll be just tickled pink if they make, the 800 megawatts. And what they're finding is in that they're dealing. If you got to know what a hyperscaler is in the data center development world, a hyperscaler is one of a handful of businesses that can take down several hundred megawatts, lease it out for AI or any other kind of data center purpose. And they are the big names you've heard: Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Oracle, OpenAI, the big names, right? And the ones that are interested in 800 are interested in 3 gigawatts. And in the past, it's probably a lot less likely that you see a project like that done. But everything changed with the ChatGPT moment when we realized, oh, AI is here, right? And so now it is a foot race for all of these hyperscalers to be in the forefront. They all want to take down data center space. And so, a year and a half ago, it would have been a lot less likely to happen. But right now, I'm kind of excited about it. And so, so give you an idea, even at 800 megawatts, which is big, to put that in perspective, the city's total demand is 33 megawatts, right? It's big.
Okay, so I'm going to jump around a little bit on these questions.
Absolutely.
You opened the door to this question.
Okay.
It's a lot of demand. It's a lot of electricity demand, and water demand. And two of the things that we've seen, through social media and people talking and, the small town coffee shops is, where's the water coming from?
Where's the power coming
electricity
from?
coming from? Is it going to affect us as residents?
So it is a lot of electrical demand. It's potentially a lot of water demand, but not necessarily. So let me get into, I'll take the electrical first. They can't get it off the grid. The grid's not able to support that. They're going to have to self-generate. At some point in the future, they might be able to get it off the grid, but that's 4, 5, 6 years away at best, probably. And so they're planning on bringing in a 30-inch gas pipeline into the heart of the plant and generating electricity with fuel cells, which are super clean, super quiet, super efficient, and for the hyperscalers, super green and sexy, right? And they want a lot of that. And so, no, it's not going to affect the grid. They will hook up to the grid, but if there's any potential to transfer to or from the grid, they'll likely put power on the grid and not take power off the grid because the grid can't support it. And just to give you an idea of what the Texas grid is looking at, the entire Texas grid is something like 78 megawatts. And Encore, which operates part of the grid, has requests for something like 130 gigawatts more. And Encore is only part of the grid. This is data centers. It's not just here, it's everywhere, right? So the world is changing rapidly, and data centers are figuring out they have to self-generate, and they're scrambling to figure out how. And this particular developer has figured out that they want to do natural gas fuel cells. And then on the water part, so you got to know about how data centers used to be built and about the new technology that is not just on the horizon, it's here now. So to picture an old data center, picture a building the size of Walmart or larger. And there are just aisles and aisles of racks full of servers. Every single server's got a fan and it's blowing heat out the bags like torches, just putting off all kinds of heat. This building now needs an air conditioner. And that air conditioner will need three components in a commercial system. You need the condenser, the evaporator, and somewhere in the middle you need water to cool it down, to pre-cool the water before it goes into the chiller. And you see this if you stay in a hotel, a high-rise hotel, and you look down at the buildings around you, you see these big units with like a cone coming out of the top, and maybe sometimes they have slanted sides. That's a cooling tower where they spray water droplets in, the water droplets fall and partially evaporate, get a lot cooler by the time they get to the bottom as they're forcing the air up. And then that pre-cools the refrigerant by like 20 degrees, and then they send that to a chiller and then they return it to the building. That's the old method of doing it. It takes a lot of water. And so in the communities that have experienced this before, that's what they're talking about. So there are two new methods of cooling that both involved a closed loop system. One is called immersion cooling. So instead of having vertical racks full of servers, you lay it down horizontally and the servers slide in like this into a tub full of liquid. And this liquid is called dielectric fluid. It doesn't conduct electricity. It feels like mineral oil. And so the liquid draws the heat out of the servers, and it goes outside through a radiator, and a fan blows air through the radiator, and then it goes back in. They're called dry chillers, right? And that works pretty good in a cool environment. July, August, and September, not so much in Texas. And so that would require some augmented water a few months out of the year, or augmented more electricity, more water, more electricity, either way. And the other method is called direct to chip, where there's tubes carrying fluids to the surface of the chip where they pick up the heat, they go away and go through a similar type of chiller. And in those cases, in that case, the direct to chip, I'm told that they can actually get by without water. And so that's the method that hyperscalers are having to embrace because frankly, they don't have much choice. There's just not a lot of water. There's just not of electricity. Now we have some water and we've made a commitment to them of 3 million gallons a day of treated wastewater, which we're just dumping into Rock Creek every day, and they'll purchase from us, and 3 million gallons a day of potable water. So let me put that in perspective. We have total availability of 34 million gallons a day of water. We own 11% of Cooper Lake. We own 100% of Lake Sulphur Springs. We have an option to buy an additional 9,500 acre feet of water in Cooper Lake, and we're discharging 3 million gallons a day into Rock Creek. You add all of that up, we have 34 million gallons per day of availability. We use 5. We've committed another 6. That's 11, which is approximately 1/3 of the total, leaving us 2/3 in the bank for future growth. We don't want to commit more than that because water is our future. We take it very seriously, but we've got some to use. And man, if I can sell them treated wastewater, hallelujah, right? So, but they've recently informed me that they don't think they're going to want any of it, except for, toilets and sinks. Okay, well then we won't worry about that then. But if they change their mind, the offer's there, and they can get up to 6 million gallons a day.
What's the actual construction and operation timeline that residents can expect, and what milestones?
So those are kind of estimates at this point.
And I get that, but there's.
But if I had, let me just estimate.
Yeah.
I think end of this year, dirt moves and foundations start getting formed.
Okay.
Right, and it's probably a 5-year project.
There's been a lot of talk about the construction that's already happening. Can you address that?
Yeah, so they said in a video, construction's underway on site. Well, to the extent that we're installing water and sewer and streets, yeah, construction is happening. But there's no slab work being done. They haven't started clearing off the lot that they've acquired. And we're not going to let them until they're done with the hydrology study and the stream study and all of that. So, that probably won't start happening till the end of the year. They're anxious to do it sooner, but I'm guessing end of the year.
The economic impact. Obviously, as city manager, that's a top
Massive.
priority for you.
Massive. That's why we went looking for a data center.
Talk to us about permanent, high-paying jobs, not construction work, because there will be a lot of construction work and a lot of construction workers in our area during this process. But what does that look like from a jobs perspective?
1,500 jobs, pretty good paying jobs. You're not going to get rich and retire after 3 years, but they're better paying jobs than we have around here. And so 1,500 on a, what will, at 3 gigawatts, according to the numbers I have, that'll be about $55 billion of investment at the full 3 gigawatts.